The Whizworm's Taint. The name really says it all, doesn't it? Fascinating mix of clientele. But in the Barrens, you take what you can get, and you get what you can take, but we can skip that unsavory part for now.
A seedy dive in the Barrens. The kind of place where nobody asks questions. And that's the only thing keeping the locals from eating each other alive.
Tough crowd outside, but I've seen worse. What matters is we're here to work, finally. Wonder what kind of grub they got.
Places like this, they breathe chaos. But not the kind I like. Too much anger and too little magic.
If we're going to be running together, gelling as a team, it's probably best we get to know each other. So I introduce myself. Well, I use one of my introductions. One that leaves out all the right details and misdirects towards some believable and cuddly alternate facts.
I head to the bar to get everyone a drink. Beats having to do the tell us a little something about yourself part of the meeting.
It feels right being here with Rufus tucked under my arm. He's purring. I glance at the others. One's too clean, one's too serious, and the other... Chuck's got that crazy truck driver look that's usually bad news, but sometimes fun. I like them all already.
Looking at this crew, though, the Sam's got the kind of stance you don't get from corporate work. Military, probably. Street Witch might seem scattered, but I doubt that, and that weird cat of hers hasn't stopped scanning the room since we walked in. And the elven face? Anyone who can keep a suit that clean and unwrinkled in the Barrens gets old Chuck's respect.
Bar's defensive layout is suboptimal. Too many blind spots. The team needs evaluation. The Heyoka, Harriet. Her familiar's more alert than most security I've worked with. The rigger, Chuck. He's seen action. Keeps his back to the wall. Eyes on the doors. Good habits. And the elf? Sal? The kind of smooth that only comes from years of high-stakes negotiations. Could be useful. Could be dangerous. Probably both.
The dossier is uncomplicated. A little disappointing considering the auteur's penchant for detail. Still, the direct approach is probably best here. They have the hijack site secured, so really that's going to tell us a lot more than a list of his enemies and their whereabouts. The dossier does get into what the box actually is, though. Interesting.
The box is a Himitsu Bako, Japanese puzzle box. Great. Probably fragile. The rigger on the job, Keylock Kelso, was trustworthy enough to get the op, but something went wrong. Always does.
A puzzle box? Oh, now, that is interesting. Old magic, maybe. Rufus remembers seeing one once in the window of an antique shop, right before the shop vanished. Literally vanished.
Overland transport through the Barrens with a guy named Keylock Kelso. Love the branding. I lean in, trying to figure out where this went sideways. The fact that someone could even get a signal out in the Barrens is impressive. That van must have had some serious tech.
If this Kelso was good enough to get the auteur's attention and paycheck, he must be good enough to have a backup plan. And a backup plan for his backup plan. That's how I would roll. Guess we'll find out at the site.
We're wheels up. I grab what I need from the car and change into something a little more frag-proof. Grab some extras, too. Pretty sure that van's gonna have a hard point for this LMG.
A hidden weapons locker in an AmeriCar? Love the showmanship. Definitely knows how to play the silent soldier part. Still, I like that my assault rifle fits with everything else in my trusty gym bag. Mobility has a certain appeal out here.
Well, would you look at this? A real job with a real crew promising some real action. No more hauling dreck for pennies. No more sleeping in truck stops wondering where it all went wrong. This is the genuine article, sweetheart. Just like old times. Sure, there's probably a dozen ways this could all go sideways to Sunday. But at least it ain't a garbage run. This is what I've been missing. You know what old Chuck always says when the papers are signed and the rubber hits the road? Fasten your seatbelt and say your prayers, 'cause we ain't stopping for breakfast.
Oh, this is cozy. Like that time I shared a dumpster with 3 devil rats and a very confused delivery drone. Definitely a mix of different personalities here. Strange bunch. But the spirits seem amused. And Rufus hasn't tried to bite anyone yet. I should probably mention the ghost that's been following us for the last 10 minutes. Maybe not.
3 weeks ago, I was sitting in a corner office, drinking real coffee, worrying about quarterly projections. It wasn't my office or my coffee. That's not important. What's important is that now I'm in a van that smells like gun oil and magic, while a cat that might be smarter than me keeps stealing looks at my aura. And the funny thing is, this feels more real than anything in that office tower. Out here in the Barrens, nobody's pretending. Well, except me, but that's more habit than necessity these days. Though I do miss stealing that guy's coffee. What was his name again? Jenkins? Fitzgibbon? It'll come to me.
The Barrens look different tonight. The spirits are restless, all whispers and warnings, like they know something's coming. Rufus keeps batting at shadows that aren't really shadows. He sees them too, the things between things, the maybes and might-have-beens that dance around the edges of what's real. Oh, that's interesting. Turns out the ghost following us is a former traffic cop. Says Chuck ran a stop sign about 8 years ago. Some people really need to learn to let things go.
I pop the cram. Quick, clean, professional. Just like they taught us in basic. Though our medic would have my ass for taking it without a full talk screen first. Everything sharpens. World gets crisp. Raindrops plump and separate and slow, almost hanging in the air. Cram's reliable, brutal, gets the job done. Pulse is doubling. Good. Need the extra pump when shit inevitably goes sideways. Because it will. It always does.
Can't say my mind doesn't poke its head into a lot of dark places when we pull up on the hijack site and see the mess that was made of Kelso's rig.
Murmur emerges from the shadows like she's been practicing the entrance. Another one of the auteur's magic types. Definitely a pro.
Van was shot up, hit bad. Not likely unless someone planned this, but who knows. The detour was probably some kind of tech issue. I bet whatever fried the systems hit hard and fast. System data's saying drones were sent after the gangers left. Smart, but Kelso was already screwed by then. I keep looking.
Whoever did this definitely followed the old runner advice to geek the mage first. Because yeah, this mage certainly took a lot of fire. Not to mention one heck of an unlucky shot through the throat. Quick though. So there's that.
Oh, the astral space here is screaming. Layers of anger, fear, desperation. Poor Rufus's fur is standing straight up. It's hard to feel if there was a purpose beyond just violence and looting.
My mind immediately infers that someone knew exactly what they were hitting here. The Barrens is a big place, and this is a tiny little Japanese box we're talking about. Still, if there's one place in the world where some random ganger attack is going to hit the Hamitsubako jackpot, it's the Barrens.
Track patterns tell a story. 3? No. 4 dune buggies. They knew these roads. Spent time practicing those turns. Gangers, but still hard to know if this was targeted or on purpose.
Kelso recorded a vid during the attack. Dude has some hangdown, I'll give him that. Looking at the logs, this is how it shook out near as I can figure. Kelso's rig had at least 3 different and very unlikely mechanical failures that all happened at once. No confirmation that it was ECM, but come on. After that, Kelso pulled the rig over and started running diagnostics, some local power cycling, stuff like that. That's when they got hit by the gangers. Firefight went for some time. Based on what Nahi and Harriet can figure, it looks like Keylock was taken alive along with the box and other cargo. We got a mess of dune buggy tracks to follow, though. Not easy to hide those on a dirt road in the Pacific Northwest.
Time to roll out. I don't know what fascinates me more. If this was just a random attack on the gangers' part, or if it's a coordinated piece in a much larger puzzle we can't see the edges of yet.
Team assessment after first objective. Corp kid's smarter than he lets on. That's a relief. Heyoka is crazy. Good crazy. Kind that keeps you alive when logic says you should be dead. Cat's definitely more than a cat. Driver reminds me of the armor teams back home. Same look in the eyes. Solid. Could be our ace. Different from my old unit. Messier. Less disciplined. Probably not a bad thing. Been too long since I had people at my 6. Even if one of them is a cat.
Violence leaves traces. And this gang, their trail is practically glowing. Rufus is on edge again.
30 minutes of tracking through dirt roads. Rain makes it tricky. We push on. Focus sharpens. Wait. Through the trees. Firelight. Wrong color for a simple campfire. Too hot. Way too big.
Bonfire means trouble. Cut the engine and roll silent. Been on enough runs to know when things are about to go sideways. This feels like sideways on its side, chummer.
Looks like we're crashing a party. I can't help but grin as Nahi leads us out of the van and silently through the trees and rain and sloshing mud. I can almost hear the passionate voice of my Italian cobbler cursing at me in her rich Marchigiana accent about what the moisture will do to these hand-stitched bespoke shoes. Still, I have to say, these calfskin loafers are surprisingly quiet when stealthily moving through a tree line. Faustina should be proud.
Oh my. The astral space ahead, it's like looking into a wound. Something terrible happened here. Recently. The mana hasn't even settled yet.
Hand signals. Old habits. But they get it. Even the cat seems to understand. Moving through the undergrowth now. Training takes over. Just another recon. Until we crest that small rise and...
Smells like fuel and bad decisions. We creep through the trees and sure enough, the camp's been hit. Vehicles shot up, bodies everywhere. Something big happened here, bigger than just a gang fight.
Bodies. So many bodies. The astrals screaming with fresh death. But wait, there. Under that pile of... Rufus senses it too. Someone's alive down there, barely.
This wasn't a fight. This was a message, written in blood and bullet holes.
We find a survivor. One of the gangers. He laughs when we patch him up, talking about how the Crash Zone King's crew hammered them. Didn't kneel, so we got slaughtered, he says. Box is gone. Kelso, too. Shit.
Our murderous one-armed friend is going to have quite the story to tell. I do my best to get him talking, before those engines I'm hearing in the distance catch up to us.
Engines, lots of them, and not the friendly kind. Lights through the trees, his buddies are inbound.
Tactical situation deteriorating fast. Multiple engines approaching. Time to move. Now.
Rufus is hissing. Never a good sign. The mana is shifting. More violence coming. Fresh violence.
I give the ganger a quick smile as the engines grow louder, and add a friendly word about putting in a good one for us with his crew. Never know when you might need a friend in the Barrens, assuming we survive the next few minutes.
I jump back in the van. Hope everyone likes high-speed chases.
It's dark, but I layer up low light and thermovision. The cram is peaking right on time, and I'm feeling really good that I brought the LMG.
The engines roar behind us, and the air crackles with danger. Rufus hisses at the lights in the misty night. It's all so very exciting.
4 strangers and a ganger chase through the woods on the trail of a Japanese mystery box. Just another night in Seattle, right? Time to show these gang rats why you don't race a rigger.